Letting go in old age isn't always about releasing possessions. Sometimes, it's about releasing expectations, regrets, or even roles we've held all our lives. If you're over 70 and wondering what it means to truly let go, then this video offers not just answers, but a path. In this journey, we'll explore 9 powerful truths about letting go in old age. Not as an act of surrender, but as a way to finally live freely, peacefully, and with joy. There's something strange about life. We spend half our lives chasing things: work, responsibilities, money, and security. But then at some point when our hair has turned silver and our steps slow down, we suddenly ask ourselves, how much time do I have left? And have I truly lived? After 60, what matters most is no longer how much we can do, but how deeply and how truthfully we can live. But living truthfully is a journey of letting go. Letting go of what no longer serves us. Letting go of fear, of habits, of invisible pressures that have followed us all our lives. In this video, I invite you to pause and take a gentle look at 9 things that, if you're willing to release them, can make your later years lighter, deeper, and more free. It's never too late. No one is ever too old to start living again, with mindfulness, peace, and gratitude in every moment. If you can still breathe, still hear the birds outside your window, still feel the warmth of sunlight on your porch, then this is the moment. The moment to start living for real. So come with me. Let's begin a journey of letting go. Not because you're fading, but because you finally earned the right to live with less weight. 1. Don't let fear control your wallet. There's something we've all held onto for years, sometimes even more carefully than the valuables in our safe. And it's not money. It's fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of sudden illness. Fear of being a burden to our kids. Fear that we might live too long and run out of money. And so we save. We scrimp. We hold back from spending, even on the moments we've waited our whole lives to enjoy. Linda, 69, was once an accountant at an insurance company. She worked hard her whole life, frugal, practical, never splurged. She and her husband Carl had over $1 million in savings. From the outside, they were the picture of financial security in retirement. But in reality, it was different. For over 10 years after retiring, they didn't go anywhere. No visits to grandkids in another state. No weekend getaways. Not even dinner at a nice restaurant nearby. Linda would always say, "What if we get sick? Better save it." Then, one March morning, Carl suffered a sudden stroke. And he didn't make it. Linda didn't just lose her husband. She lost the chance to live out the dreams they'd quietly held for years. The Buddha said, "The one who knows contentment is truly Rishivan if they own nothing." Dhammapada, verse 204. In early Buddhist teachings, wealth is seen as impermanent, conditioned thing. Managing it wisely is wisdom. But hoarding it out of fear becomes a burden. Money is not the enemy. Fear is what stops us from living. We spend our lives preparing, and yet we forget to live in the very moments we've been preparing for. Dear friend, if you already have a stable financial foundation, no major debts, steady retirement income or savings, a roof over your head, and basic needs covered, then maybe it's time to ask, what am I really saving for? Is money serving me or am I serving it? Now imagine this. You take just a small portion of your savings and use it to share a warm meal with your grandchildren, visit an old friend you haven't seen in decades, attend a symphony just like you used to love when you were young, or simply buy a soft, supportive chair to sit and read in every afternoon. These aren't wasteful expenses. They're investments in life, in connection, in joy, in the quiet affirmation that you're still here and still living. You don't need to spend it all. You don't need to live lavishly. But you do need to show up in the life you've worked so hard to build. Just like a flower, If it doesn't bloom in its season, it will wither with quiet regret. You can't take your money with you, but you can leave behind a life you truly lived, one you loved, one you shared, one that mattered. So open your wallet, not to spend recklessly, but to give yourself permission to live more deeply. Each month, allow yourself one meaningful gift, a visit with someone dear, a small dream finally fulfilled, or simply a moment of joy in a space that feels like home. And if you're sitting here right now, your hands still warm around a cup of tea, your heart still beating steadily inside your chest, then maybe today is the day to start living a little differently. Here's a question for you. Is there something you've wanted to do, but you've been putting off just because it costs too much? Is there a small gift you've wanted to send someone, but never clicked buy? Share it in the comments below. Who knows, your story might be the spark that inspires someone else to start living, too. Because in the end, fear won't help you live longer. It only makes you live less. The Buddha said, "The greatest wealth is peace of mind in the present moment." So tell me, will you let money imprison you? Or will you let it set you free to live with peace, joy, and presence? If you're ready, just begin. One small step. Today. 2. Don't spend money on autopilot. There's a quiet truth most people overlook. Spending money isn't always the problem. The real issue is spending without knowing why. We buy things because they're on sale. We buy them because someone else has them, or because we feel empty inside and think this one purchase might fill the gap. And then what? It ends up in a drawer, on a shelf, or in a box we forgot we even had. Mr. Raymond, 74 years old, was a retired aircraft technician. He loved gadgets and new technology. Every year, he spent thousands of dollars on phones, headphones, e-readers, and memory-boosting apps. But here's the catch. He barely used any of them. One day, he got news that his closest friend from his Army days, Leo, was hospitalized. They hadn't seen each other in over 20 years. Without hesitation, Mr. Raymond booked a flight. He flew over 1,200 miles just to sit with his friend for 2 short hours. When he got home, he told his daughter, "I've never spent $400 on anything that felt this right." His story reminded me of a teaching from the Buddha. The fool, driven by craving, wastes his wealth. The wise one spends just enough living simply and in peace. Sayutta Nikaya, Connected Discourses. Spending money isn't wrong. The trouble comes when we spend to cover something inside us we haven't truly faced. Many people after 60 still shop often, not because they need anything, but because it's become a habit, or because being still in a fast-moving world makes them feel left behind. But think about it. The more we own, the less space we have. The more we buy out of confusion, the more we disconnect from ourselves. And the more we spend unconsciously, the further we drift from inner peace. Theravada Buddhism offers a powerful concept. Santu, contentment, or knowing what's enough. Knowing enough doesn't mean living with lack. It means you're no longer pulled around by endless desires. You don't spend money as a reflex. You spend it as a mindful choice. Can you remember the last time you spent money and felt truly joyful? Maybe it was a meal with your grandchildren, a warm scarf for an old friend, or, like Mr. Raymond, a plane ticket to hold the hand of someone who mattered. These things are small, but they nourish the soul, fill the heart with memory, and remind us that we're still living, not just existing. So, starting today, try this simple practice before each purchase. Ask yourself, why am I buying this? Is it something I truly need? Am I gently treating myself in a healthy way? Or am I just filling a void inside? Each month, pick one thing to spend on that comes from love and not from habit. It could be a ticket to the symphony, a lunch with someone dear, a short course you've always wanted to try, or a little gift just for yourself with no explanation needed. Used mindfully, money can be like a gentle river flowing through your life, watering what matters. But left to flow blindly, it can become a meaningless current that slowly carries you away from who you really are. The Buddha said, "The one with few desires is truly free." And freedom doesn't mean having everything. It means knowing what to keep and what to let go. You don't need to stop spending money. You just need to start spending with awareness. A question for you. When was the last time you spent money on something that brought you deep, lasting joy? And what could you do this week to nourish your soul rather than just fill your shelves? Let money serve your life, not your anxiety, not your pressure, and not the noise of others' expectations. So today, instead of buying one more thing, maybe choose to do one meaningful thing instead. One thing you'll remember for a long time. If this message speaks to you, write down what you want to do for yourself this week, just for you. And if you feel like sharing it, who knows, your story might inspire someone else watching this video to begin living more meaningfully too. 3. Don't keep working just because you don't know when to stop. There's a kind of exhaustion that doesn't live in the body, but in the heart that's been doing something for far too long without any spark left. After 60, many people keep working, not because they need the money, not even because they still love the job, but because they simply don't know what they'd do without work. Mrs. Joyce was one of them. She had been a high school teacher for 38 years. Everyone called her the most dedicated teacher in the school, and she truly was never missing a single day of class. Even after retirement, she kept going. She taught part-time. Then she taught online. Then she started writing curriculum. Whenever someone asked, "Why don't you take a break?" she'd smile and say, "I wouldn't know what to do with myself if I stopped." But one day, her body gave in. She collapsed from exhaustion. The doctor said, "It's not her age. It's because she didn't know when to stop." Lying in the hospital bed, she sighed, "I spent my life teaching others how to live, but I never learned how to slow down for myself." The Buddha once said, "When a wise person lets go of work at the right time, they find peace like a bird finally free from its cage." And Guttara Nikya. The problem isn't with work, and retirement doesn't mean the end of purpose. The issue is how tightly we cling to the roles we've played, so much so that without work, we no longer know who we are. After 60, the most precious thing is no longer productivity, but presence. It's the ability to take a walk each morning while your legs still carry you. It's the clarity to enjoy a good book. It's having a quiet dinner with your grandchildren without rushing back to a meeting. So if you're still working, take a moment and ask, am I doing this out of passion, or am I just afraid of the emptiness that comes without it? If your work brings you joy, connection, and purpose, then continue with mindfulness and gratitude. But if you're only doing it because you're afraid of not having something to do, then maybe it's time to learn how to live again. You don't have to stop right away. You just need to begin preparing. Start with something small. Plant a few vegetables. Practice 10 minutes of meditation each morning. Join an art class, or keep a journal, or simply allow yourself to do nothing and still feel peaceful. In Buddhism, there's a beautiful principle called right livelihood, earning a living in a way that doesn't harm yourself or others. But once you've earned enough to live, right livelihood can also mean this: knowing when to stop working so you can start living rightly. Time can't be rewound, and the energy of life can't be borrowed from the future. So if something deep inside tells you it's time to rest, don't wait for another reason. Pause with gratitude, not regret, and step into a new chapter, not of work, but of truly being present. Here's a question for you. If you stopped working tomorrow, What's the first thing you would do just for yourself? And what is something you've always wanted to do, but never started because you were too busy? At this stage of life, your worth is no longer measured by how much you get done, but by one simple question: did I live today with my whole heart? 4. Don't postpone what makes you happy. Have you ever said something like this? I'll call tomorrow. I'll do it when I feel better. Maybe next season, when things calm down. I'll get to it when the time is right. And then, year after year, the things that once stirred your heart the most stay buried in a quiet corner, untouched and unspoken. Mr. Bernard, 76 years old, once told me, I knew my grandson was always hoping I'd call. He used to send me letters, photos, but I was always busy, or I forgot, or I felt awkward. I always said, I'll call tomorrow. I'll have more time then. But then, a sudden accident took him away from me, and I never got the chance to say even one word of thanks or love. The Buddha once said in the Oud, no one knows when their life will end. So live as if today were your last. Old age isn't the end of life, but it is the shortest part of it. And it's the one part we shouldn't waste by waiting, because waiting, sometimes, is just a subtle way of postponing happiness. Have you noticed? Each time we delay doing something that brings us joy, we're quietly turning away from a moment of life that's waiting to be felt. It could be a trip to visit an old friend, a dance class you've always dreamed of joining, a picnic with your grandchildren, or simply an afternoon spent making tea, playing soft music, and doing nothing at all. These little things may seem small, but when added up, they make up a life. Dear friend, I know you may have thought, it's not urgent, I'll get to it later. But the truth is, later often becomes too late. And the cost of delay is a kind of regret we can't take back. Don't wait until your health fails. Don't wait until your loved ones are no longer beside you. Don't wait until your spirit is tired and worn out, to feel sorrow over the words you never said, the places you never went, or the dreams you never gave yourself permission to follow. In Theravada Buddhism, there is a deep teaching about presence in the here and now, because only in the present can real transformation happen. Only the present moment has the power to heal. Only now is where true happiness lives. So if today you can still walk, if you can still hear, still see, still feel the warmth of sunlight on your shoulders, please don't keep postponing the things that make your heart smile. Write down 5 things you've always wanted to do but never got around to. Maybe it's learning an instrument, reuniting with an old friend, hosting a small garden party, or simply spending one evening without your phone or TV, just you, a candle, and a favorite song from your youth. Then, from that list, choose one thing to begin today. Don't let next year be another time you say, I'll do that when I have time. Because you do have time, right now. Let me ask you, what have you missed in life simply because you assumed there would be more time? And if you only had 1 year left to live, what is something you would want to do starting today? Happiness is not a destination. It is every small step we choose not to delay. It's the courage to live while we still have breath. You deserve to spend your final years not just in peace, but filled with the joy of the things you once dreamed about. 5. Don't take your health for granted because you are living through it. There will come a day when you realize something powerful. The most precious thing you have isn't your home or the amount saved in your bank account. It's your health, this body you're living in, moment by moment, every day. When we're younger, we often ignore it. We overwork ourselves. We eat in a rush. We stay up too late, skip meals, and carry stress without pause. And then, as we grow older, we act surprised when the body starts to complain, as if it's betraying us. But in truth, it's simply the result of all the years we didn't listen. Mrs. Nancy understood this the hard way. At 74, she began having trouble sleeping. She lost her appetite, and her spirit began to sink. She went to the doctor, but there was no clear illness. It was just a body that had been neglected for far too long. A friend suggested something simple. Take a 15-minute walk every morning. At first, she resisted, but she gave it a try. And after 3 months, she said to me, "I'm not just sleeping better. I eat well. I laugh more. And most importantly, I feel like I'm truly alive again. Not just waiting for life to end." The Buddha once said, "The body is our foundation. When the body is calm and well cared for, wisdom arises." Majjhima Nikaya, the Gatekeeper Discourse. In early Buddhism, the body is never treated as insignificant. In fact, it's seen as the doorway to the mind. If the body is restless, the mind struggles to be still. If the body is in pain, peace becomes hard to reach. Health isn't just the absence of illness. It's the ability to live actively, independently, and with awareness of each passing day. You may not be able to run like you did when you were young. You may no longer lift what you used to. But you can still take slow walks, breathe deeply, eat mindfully, and maintain a rhythm of peaceful, intentional living. Caring for your body after 60 doesn't require extremes. You don't have to follow rigid diets or harsh exercise routines. You simply need to listen and treat your body kindly each day. You can start with small changes. Wake up 15 minutes earlier and walk around the block. Have dinner a little earlier. Cut back on a cup of coffee and drink more water. Turn off the television earlier and get proper rest. And each day, take a few deep breaths as a quiet thank you to the body that carries you through this life. Here's something worth remembering. No one can take better care of you than you can, and nothing can replace the deep, steady feeling of being healthy from within. Let me ask you this. What's one small thing you've done today to care for your body? And if you could choose just one new habit to improve your health starting tomorrow, what would it be? Health doesn't just appear. It's the result of small daily actions repeated with respect and gratitude. You don't need to live like an athlete. You just need to live like someone who values their body like an old, loyal friend. Because in the end, you don't live through the dreams you hold. You live through the lungs that breathe, the legs that still carry you, the quality of tonight's sleep. And if you want to spend your later years in independence, clarity, and peace, the first thing to care for isn't what's far ahead. It's what's already here, working quietly inside you, second by second. Are you ready to begin? Not tomorrow, but right after this video ends. 6. Don't worry too much about what others think. There's something strangely familiar that many of us still do, even at age 60, 70, or beyond. We continue living under the gaze of others. We dress so we don't stand out too much. We say no to things we secretly enjoy because we're afraid the grandkids might laugh. We hide little hobbies and passions, fearing someone might say, "You're too old to be doing that kind of thing." But dear friend, when you live like that for too long, you begin to disappear from your own life. Mr. James, 68, knows exactly what that feels like. He spent his life as a civil engineer, disciplined, tidy, and respectable. The kind of man who always fit the mold. But he had a secret. He loved to dance. Since his youth, he had adored jazz and swing. But not once did he step onto a dance floor, all because he was afraid of being laughed at. Then one day, after losing his wife, he walked into a senior dance class. And he danced. Not beautifully, not perfectly, but he danced with all his heart. After the class, he told the instructor, "It's been so long since I felt my heart beat from happiness." The Buddha once said, "Those who live without being attached to praise or blame are untouched by the chaos of the world." Dhammapada, verse 94. Mr. James still cared a little about what others thought, but he chose joy over approval. And that is real freedom. You see, when you're young, you live by the rules to fit in. When you're a parent, you live to set an example. But once you've walked through most of your life, you've earned the right to be yourself without needing anyone's permission. If you want to wear red, wear it. If you want to learn to paint, or play music, or pick up Spanish, go for it. If a gathering drains your energy, say no with kindness. Living for yourself is not selfish. It's being honest with your own heart. In Theravada Buddhism, this is known as the inner middle path. Not chasing praise. Not shrinking back from criticism. Just knowing what's true for you and standing in it. Because at the end of your life, you won't carry the compliments people gave you. You'll carry the days you lived truly. Even if it was just one day dancing to the rhythm you love. And here's the beautiful part. When you live authentically, you give others the courage to do the same. Your children and grandchildren don't need a perfect role model. They need to see you joyful, so they can believe joy is possible for them too. Let me ask you, is there something you've always wanted to do, but never dared because of what others might think? And if no one were judging you today, what would you do first? Life is short. Don't spend it trying to please everyone. Spend it honoring who you truly are. Start with something small. Wear the color that brings you joy. Play that song you used to love. Write a poem. Or just sit quietly and smile to yourself without feeling silly. You've come a long way. You don't need to live in the shadow of others' opinions anymore. So, are you ready to enjoy the simple joy that comes from being free? 7. Don't let negative news take over your mind. Every morning, many people start their day with the news. Accidents, war, disease, scams, conflict. And then they wonder why they feel anxious, restless, unable to sleep, and emotionally drained. Mrs. Helen, 72, used to be a self-declared news junkie. She had the television on from morning until noon, then switched to YouTube, Facebook, and news websites. She spent over 4 hours a day just trying to stay informed. But over time, she noticed something changing. Her appetite decreased. She couldn't sleep well. Her memory declined. Her mood was constantly low and heavy. Her daughter gently suggested, "Mom, try turning off the television for just 2 weeks. Limit the news to 30 minutes a day. That's enough." So she tried. And the results were surprising. Within 2 weeks, she smiled more. She started gardening again. She slept deeply. And most of all, she felt lighter, like a weight had been lifted that she didn't even know she was carrying. The Buddha once said, "Keep your mind like a clear, still pond. Don't let the debris of the world muddy its waters." Sa Yutanikya Connected Discourses. The mind is like a garden. If each day you water it with negative images, bitter words, and scenes of chaos or conflict, then don't be surprised when your inner world becomes filled with weeds and thorns. Dear friend, we can't control the whole world, but we can choose what enters our minds each day. News is important, yes. It helps us understand the world we live in. But when we consume too much news, especially without discernment, we slowly become victims of mental overload. Negative news is addictive. Our brains are wired to respond to danger. So the more we watch, the more we get pulled in. The more we get pulled in, the more fearful life seems. And the more fearful life feels, the more we watch thinking it helps us stay prepared. But the truth is, awareness doesn't require fear. Being informed doesn't have to come at the cost of your peace. After 60, the most valuable thing isn't knowing more bad news than anyone else. It's knowing how to protect your peace in a noisy world. You can begin with small changes. Watch the news only once a day. Follow trustworthy, balanced sources, avoid sensational ones. And when you notice your mind becoming tired or heavy, turn off your device. Take a deep breath. Go for a slow walk. Or listen to some gentle music. Instead of spending 3 hours on stories about other people's lives, spend 30 minutes tuning into your own heartbeat. You can't fix the whole world, but you can keep one quiet corner of your soul clean and calm for yourself and for those you love. Let me ask you, have you ever felt anxious or overwhelmed just from watching too much news? And if this week you tried cutting back just 1 hour a day, what would you do with that time instead? You could use it to call someone you love, cook a new dish, listen to a calming Dharma talk, or simply sit in stillness and watch the evening sun fall gently across your porch. Because inner peace doesn't come from the world outside being calm. It comes from knowing when to close the door. If your heart has ever felt unsettled by things you can't control, then today begin by taking control of one very simple choice: what you allow to enter your mind. 8. Don't neglect but don't obsess over money. Money. It's a topic everyone cares about. And after the age of 60, it becomes a quiet but deep concern. Some people choose to ignore it. I don't even want to look at those numbers, it's too stressful. They go through life as if they're walking with their eyes closed. Others become fixated. They check their accounts every morning and night. They overanalyze every meal, every purchase, every gift, even when their finances are more than stable. But here's the truth. Both extremes quietly damage your inner peace. Mr. Paul is a perfect example. After retiring, he had enough savings to live comfortably. No debt. His kids were grown and independent. But still, he couldn't sleep at night because of money. Each morning, he'd check his retirement account. He tracked his spending to the dollar. He read financial news obsessively, worrying about inflation, crashes, and economic collapse. And then one day, he realized something. He wasn't really living anymore. He was just surviving inside the anxiety of numbers. So he sat down with a trusted friend who worked in finance. Together, they made a simple one-page financial plan. No complexity, no overwhelm, just clarity. It answered 3 key questions. How much do I need each month? How much do I already have? What small changes would let me live comfortably without the constant stress? From that day forward, Mr. Paul stopped checking his balance daily. Instead, he began living again. He took evening walks. He planted new flowers in his backyard. And most importantly, he felt calm. Because he finally believed that he had enough. The Buddha said, "What comes, will come. But those who worry with wisdom will not be shaken inside." Sayukta, Gamma, mixed discourses. The Buddha didn't teach us to neglect real life. But he did teach that excessive worry is a kind of ignorance. Because fear around money doesn't usually come from reality. It comes from an unsettled heart. Dear friend, you don't need to become a financial expert. You only need to know where you are. Know what's enough for you. And after that, spend more time living, not calculating. A good financial plan can fit on one page. Your basic living expenses, your emergency savings, your monthly income, your safe spending limits, and what you'd like to spend for joy, not just for protection. And once you have that in place, review it weekly or monthly, not daily. The time you save by thinking less about money can become time to sip tea peacefully, walk slowly with your spouse, meditate for 10 minutes each morning, or write a few lines of gratitude in your journal. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you felt truly at peace with your finances? Are you living from a sense of stability or from a fear of not having enough? Money isn't the problem. The way we think about money, that's what shapes our inner world. You deserve a retirement filled with freedom. Not because you have mountains of money, but because you know what's enough, and you live wisely with what you already have. Inner peace doesn't come from a large bank balance. It comes from a clear plan and a heart that knows how to live. 9. Don't live as if you have forever. There's something we all know. yet few of us truly live by it. That life is finite. We don't live forever. We don't have endless tomorrows. And yet, strangely, many of us go on living as if time will never run out. We delay a hug. We hold back an apology. We wait for the right moment to call a loved one, visit an old friend, write a thank you letter, or simply smile at ourselves in the mirror. Mr. George, now 81, is someone who finally woke up from this kind of waiting. After losing his wife of more than 50 years, he fell into a hollow quiet. He realized there were so many things he thought he'd still have time to do, but that time never came back. From that day on, he started a quiet morning ritual. Every morning, he would sit by the window, open a small notebook, and write 3 simple lines. I am still breathing. I still have time. Today, I will live with kindness. The Buddha said, only the present moment is truly alive. Whoever lives fully in the present lives free from fear. Satipatthana Sutta, Discourse on Mindfulness. Dear friend, you cannot relive yesterday. You cannot guarantee tomorrow, but you do have today. And that, just by itself, is a priceless gift. Each breath you take is a miracle. Each ray of sunlight on your skin is a blessing. Each person you can still call, or sit with, or listen to, is a grace. So why do we keep waiting? Waiting until we feel better, until conditions are perfect, until the mood feels just right. Waiting for the perfect moment, when no one can promise that moment will ever come. In Theravada Buddhism, death is not seen as something morbid. It's a gentle reminder to awaken. To know that this body is impermanent is to live more deeply with every moment we still have. You don't need to do anything grand. Just write down 3 things you're grateful for each morning. I can still see. I still have my granddaughter by my side. I can still brew my own tea. And if someone comes to mind today, call them. If there's an apology you've been meaning to make, don't wait for another encounter. If you've wanted to say, I love you, say it now. It doesn't have to be poetic. It doesn't need fancy words. It just needs to be honest. Let me ask you this. If you had just 1 week left to live, what would you do today? And what have you been putting off for far too long? Something that could begin now with just one small step? You don't need to fear death. You only need to fear not truly living. And to live doesn't mean doing more. It means being fully present with even the smallest things. A warm glance, a quiet meal, a shared laugh with someone you love, or just a slow afternoon with no rush, no regrets. You've walked a long path already. Let this final stretch of your life be the most beautiful part, not because it's long, but because it's lived with awareness, gratitude, and love without delay. You've lived long enough. Now, live fully. So now we've walked through all 9 insights together. Each one may seem simple, but in truth, they are often what quietly make our later years feel heavy, tangled, and joyless. But here's the beauty. You don't have to change the whole world. You just need to begin with one thing, something you can gently let go of today. Not because you've done anything wrong, but because you've grown wise enough to choose a lighter way of being. Let go of fear so you can live with trust. Let go of old habits so you can rediscover joy. Let go of roles that no longer serve you and return to who you truly are. And let go of the illusion of tomorrow so you can be fully alive in this very moment. The Buddha said, a mind that lets go is a mind that is free. The one who lives with release is no longer bound by the world. Aging doesn't have to be the sorrowful final chapter. It can be the golden autumn of your life. If you know how to slow down, go deeper, and live with mindful presence. If today you can still walk, still make your own tea, still watch the sun set and feel grateful, then please smile, because you are truly living. Dear friend, of these 9 things we've talked about, Where did you see yourself? And which one are you ready to begin with? Leave your thoughts below, because maybe, just maybe, your story, your act of letting go, might be the gift someone else needs to find their own peace on the other side of the screen. And remember this: it's never too late to live a deeper, more meaningful life.